welcome to this little chatty haul. I've acquired a few decks over the past kind of month to couple of weeks. I was starting strong with the no buy, low buy, and then it seemed like these three tarot decks like swooped in all at once. So I'm going to be looking at those and a couple of other things that relate to my tarot as well that I've kind of got. And also, one of the decks is a unicorn deck. This is like what I thought the Holy Grail deck, because I have wanted it for quite a while, for at least over a year when I was trying to get it, and it went out of print just as I was going to buy it and I couldn't get it, and now I've got it. But there was a workaround, so stick around to see what the deck was and all the other little goodies that I've got in store. First up, as you might all know, if you don't know me, hi, I'm Nikki, and I am a bit of an Arthurian fan. I love her artwork, I love everything she does. And I was a little, when I got the Bone Stone and Earth Flesh Tarot, I kind of went on a bit of a mission and thought, right, I'm going to be a bit of a completionist and I'm going to make sure that I have all of Arthurian's decks that I can have. So I purchased the Arthurian Tarot. Now, as you can see, this is in French. And now, because of the wonders of modern technology, I can use Google Translate to translate the guidebook. This is an absolutely mammoth guidebook there, so I'm gonna be definitely doing a deck study with this. And then we've got this beautiful, as if the packaging wasn't beautiful enough, it comes in this little box. So this was created by Claire Duval, and it's using Arthurian did the artwork for this. And as you can see, it's colour. My favourite is the Tower of the Abyss, because I, as you know, or some of you might know, I love black and white decks. My mind's eye is in black and white, so I kind of really relate to that black and white grayscale. But I do love a colourful deck as well, and I'm definitely think I'm going to be using this in the spring summer. So it's very similar to the Bone Stone and Earth Flesh kind of in its feel. It's very painterly, it's very much an Arthurian deck. It's very easy to recognize what the cards are from the images, because it follows very much Rider-Waite-Smith, so I'm not going to be worried about knowing that Le Hermit is the hermit. Excuse my very bad French pronunciation there. I love these backs. It slightly gives me like War of the Roses vibes, with the red rose and the white rose in the middle. Like, yeah, it just gives me those vibes. I'm a girl from the north, so yeah, so it's just beautiful. It's very comforting, very grounding. It has that feel. I've not read with it yet, as you can see, because it's all in order, but I'm so, look at that devil. Ooh. a very appealing devil. It's giving me Tom Ellis, like Lucifer vibes. What is it you desire? You know what I mean? It's giving me those vibes there. Yeah, it's just beautiful. And that moon, if I could, I would just love to hang this up in my tarot cave. Like that picture of the moon card, that is just beautiful. If I could get that as a tattoo, I definitely would. It's just so, I just love her artwork, and it is amazing. And then it's quite easy to kind of, batons or wands. Then let's go through. It's like, it's quite easy to tell who the king is, who the queen is, who the knight is, and the page is the like Damoiselle. So yeah, cups again. It's very easy to kind of work out. 10 of Cups. I love that two of Swords there. I think that is like one of my favorite Two of Swords. I do love the Two of Swords in the Tower of the Abyss with the maskless face and the two masks, but I love that it's, you know, two sides of the same creature. I just, yeah, it just really, so these are your swords. And then you've got your Pentacles, Le Deniers. So they do follow the Rider-Waite-Smith, but they have a little bit of a variance sometimes. And I am so going to love reading this. I feel like until I get time to do a deck study, it's going to be very intuitive what I read with it. And obviously just knowing that it's based on the Rider-Waite-Smith there. So yeah, so that was the purchase. I'd got all the way to like the end of January with a no buy, because it was December when I bought my night visions, and then February has just seemed to be one of them months where everything's come up. So I pulled the plug on this, and I thought, right, I've got this, I can stop now. famous last words, I can stop now. It's like, never. I don't like being told what to do. So even if I tell myself I can stop now, it's hard. It's such a beautiful like packaging box. Everything is just gorgeous. So the next deck on my list was a deck that I couldn't get out of my head. I'd dismissed it when I first kind of was watching TarotTube, and it was a deck that I never thought I'd really be able to get. I think because I was under the impression it was an indie deck. This is not the unicorn deck though. The unicorn deck is the last one. But I found a copy on a secondhand site, and I was so pleased. I literally couldn't get this deck out of my head for the past couple of weeks. It's been on repeat. I put it on my wish list because that's what I do. When I see a deck I like, I put it on my wish list, and usually the deck stays there. And then I have actually two wish lists. So what I do is I will have a main wish list which people can see. So like friends and everything can see that wish list. But I also have my garden list. It was when I was originally gardening a lot. And that wish list is private. And I keep a lot of decks on there that I'm a bit on the fence about. The blood, I think is it the Blood Moon Tarot? Is definitely on there. And I think the Labanco is on my actual proper wish list. But I will move these decks from the garden wish list to the real wish list, and sometimes they stay there for a long time and then move to the garden and move back and forth. And that's how I don't buy lots of decks, because I'm very picky now with decks, and a deck has to really keep repeating on me and not let me sleep until I have it. And this was one of those decks. So this was first originally brought out as the Modern Tarot Reader, and this is the Antique Anatomy by Claire Goodchild. I got this secondhand because wherever I can, I will try to get a secondhand copy of a deck. And now I'm trying to make a concerted effort to not go to like big brand companies and go to independent sellers that stock, you know, mass market, because I like my mass market decks. So I'm more inclined to now go to Oneness Emporium and places like that to buy my tarot decks. But I got this secondhand, and this deck just would not leave my mind. So it's got a nice little got a nice little, it's in this lovely, you know, sturdy box. It's got a nice little guidebook. It's not huge, but it gives you what you need to know. So, and the cards, and I think the reason why I dismissed this is because it's very much a pip deck, and I wasn't comfortable at the time. I think I saw it and I thought, oh, that's my vibe, apart from the flowers, because I'm not really as much as I love my Arthurian decks, which I feel are very grounded and very pretty and everything. I'm not really a flowery type person. I'm not really like an animal or botanical kind of, more botanical, I would say, because I did used to garden a lot and everything, and health reasons have kind of meant my garden's been very neglected, just as we say this on the Night of Blades. And this, like, the cardstock is not the best. It is quite thin, but I can work with it. I paid under £10 for it secondhand, so I'm kind of not very precious. I'm not very worried about it, but I'm moving more into wanting to work with Marseille, wanting to work with pip decks and things. I do work with pip decks anyway. My Labyrinth Tarot is a favourite. I read with him yesterday for somebody. But I wanted to kind of get this because I've seen the Oracle of Oddities. I want to save up for that. So these will go very well kind of together. And I just think it's beautiful. It's that kind of duality between like life with the flowers and then the anatomical, you know, figures and that, and you know what I mean, like death. It's kind of that liminal space between, you know, with the skull there, the liminal space between life and death. From death there is always life, from life there is always death, and that cycle repeats. And I am so excited to be using it. I've not done a reading yet. I always insist that when I do a reading, the first reading is for me, and then I move on to using it for clients. I'm just a little bit picky that way. Although I think my Yukiyo tarot, I don't know whether I've actually, I think I think I did do my first reading with the Yukiyo tarot, but I used the Yukiyo tarot yesterday, and I'll link the video to that because it's an absolutely stunningly beautiful Japanese style deck. I will link that down below. And again, that's very thin cardstock, which I find is really good to shuffle with, because you know, that thick cardboardy cardstock, I really struggled. The way I shuffle for jumpers, so I won't riffle shuffle. I'll side by side and then I'll shuffle for jumpers. That's just the way I've learned. And this thinner cardstock, it's easier to shuffle with. So I am so excited to do my first reading with this. No doubt this is going to be one of March's decks for, you know, in February. I'm using the decks that I got for Christmas and that, so I will hopefully be using this as my pip deck in there. Although I've not really used a pip deck. You can't call the Trionfo della Luna a pip deck because it's not really a pip deck, but I like to kind of have a pip deck now, you know, one where it's more, I use my intuition, I use the numerology, and then scenic decks mixed in there. So yeah, I was so excited when I saw this, and I thought, and I'm so eternally grateful to Sapling Tarot, who was the person who told me about the alternative title, because I would have bought it as the Antique Anatomy, and I possibly wouldn't have been able to get because I did look, I think, for a used copy of Antique Anatomy, and I couldn't find one. So she let me know that it was originally under a different title, and I am so grateful because I am so happy to have this in my collection. It's just so beautiful. So beautiful. And it's really, really going to help connect. And I've just thought that, and I don't know whether it's just a flash has come into my head about maybe using this for some ancestral work. I've not done any real ancestral work, but it's just really gives me that vibe that this would be really, really good to, you know, connect in with ancestors. I've been recently connecting in with like fairy energy with my fairy oracle. I've been having a bit of a break from that, but I think, you know, for ancestral work, it just gives me a feel that this is going to be used for connecting into like my spirit team, ancestors, you know, my ancestors of the land where I am, and everything like that. So yeah, if you've got the antique anatomy, let me know how you use it. But yeah, I love it. Yeah, you can see it's just been out of the box because it's been used, and I just think it's beautiful, and I'm so like excited to be using this and giving it a whirl, and using this to kind of, I think this would be good for clarifying other tarot as well, to be mixed in with, say, my Gothic tarot and my more darker decks as well, to come in. So yeah, so that is the Antique Anatomy Tarot, but it was sold as the Modern Tarot Reader. So for anybody who's after it, yeah, it's very much like Llewellyn style card stock in terms of its thickness. It's very thin, and I know even my Yukiyo is quite thin as well, but it does give such a good shuffle. Yeah, this is the Yukiyo. I've been using this recently, but that's not part of the haul. That was a birthday gift. Now the next one I'm gonna do my books, and then I'm gonna leave my unicorn deck till the end, just to have a little bit of anticipation. When I'm saying that, I'm getting Tim Curry in Rocky Horror going, anticipation. So yeah, so if you want to find out what the unicorn deck is and don't want to look at the kind of stationary books thing, you can skip to the end. But the first thing I got was some notebooks, because I am on a very big plannery kind of journaling journey this year with tarot. I used to pull tarot cards, I'd think about it, and then I'd forget it and I wouldn't log it. Now I've got a diary that I do my card a day in, so I write my card a day in there, and then the next day I will contemplate, because I never do it in the evening, I never remember. I will contemplate what has happened the day before, because I can remember that far. So I have that. I have my witch's diary for my work with the fairy oracle, and I write, and that's a kind of more of a deck study kind of thing, because I'm just getting the wisdom, but I'm writing down the definitions in order to kind of get a more deeper understanding with the deck. And then I have like notebooks where I have purely for learning, and this is probably going to be my book that I use to journal, well, not journal, to do astrology. So I'm wanting to learn more about astrology this year. I do have a book on my Kindle that I'm working through, and I want to kind of take notes in this book. So it's beautiful, lovely. It's got lots and lots of pages, and I thought, oh, that would be perfect for, and I'm going to probably cover, I might just stick some stickers on to make it so it looks like it's the astrology book. so I know, because if I see a book, I need to have like stickers on to give me a clue of what it is and what it's about. So yeah, so I got that, and that was I got it from B&M. If you're in the UK, you know what that is, for a couple of quid, and I got it to kind of treat myself, because last Monday, I had an appointment at the hospital, and it kind of left me a bit like, ugh. I was having a bit of a downer day, and so I was in town on the Tuesday, and I thought I'll spend a little tiny amount on some books that I'm going to use, because I am vastly running out of notebooks. I got given loads of notebooks, and they've all got a purpose now. So yeah, so this is going to be my astrology book. I got some other ones. I've got one that I'm going to use for my Thoth. Now I want to learn Marseille. I'm probably going to do a Marseille one. And then I got these two, which they weren't £3. These were £1.50 for two. So I was really, really kind of impressed. I grabbed them. I didn't want to grab too many, because I didn't want to be that person where you stock up on loads of things and then never use them. So these are going to be for deck studies, because I've checked, they've got more than enough pages for all 78 cards, and to be able to do things like the spreads and the first impressions, because I bought an exercise book from the range to use for my bone stone. It's on my community channel post, and I decorated it and everything, but I've realized that that's only an 80-page book, and I can only fit the cards in. I can't fit the spreads. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to get an envelope, and I'm going to stick it into it, and then put the spreads that I do inside the envelope, and kind of mod it that way, and everything. So at the moment, my deck study is the Bone Stone and Earth Flesh Tarot. That's helping me kind of get to grips with reading the guidebook and everything, because there is a lot in the guidebook, and doing the journaling activities and everything. So this is probably going to be used for, I think my next deck study will be my unicorn deck, because I am so desperate to kind of get to know it more and connect with it more. So maybe, I don't know whether it's going to be maybe this, because they're a bit bright for my unicorn deck, but we'll see. I can always cover them. I have lots of craft paper. I am an ex-crafter. I am an ex-card maker, scrapbooker. I art journal. I still kind of art journal a bit. So I've got loads of coloured paper that I can cover this in, and kind of make it a bit more to fit the aesthetic of the deck that I'm using. But if I don't, I can use a bright deck. This would be really nice for like a bright deck that I have in my collection. But I thought for £1.50 for two, and they're quite thick, I thought that was really good value. Now, the book that I got this month is The Neuroscience of Tarot. This was an anniversary gift from my dear husband. I have been married to him for 17 years, and we did get married on Valentine's Day. We didn't do it out of romantic reasons. We did it because it was the only date we could get, and then we figured, oh, it's going to save us some money, because we're not going to spend it on Valentine's, because I to me, Valentine's is a bit of a consumerist kind of trap and everything. So he said, what do you want from your wish list? And I said, you can get me a book. And he got me The Neuroscience of Tarot. So I'm so looking forward to, and I love this because it's actually got pictures in it. It's actually got diagrams, because I'm dyslexic, and I really struggle like with that. I really struggle with lots and lots of writing with no kind of, in the words of Alice, what is a book with no pictures? So I'm really excited to look and read this. This looks like it's going to be so much easier to kind of access, and I am so I might use one of these books with it for the studying it. I'm so excited. I am very much you know, temperance. 1 foot is in science, 1 foot is in spirituality and the woo-woo type thing. I don't like calling it woo-woo, but so this is scratching my scientific psychology itch. I love psychology. I want to learn more about Jungian psychology and the part of the tarot with that. But for now, we're going to do the neuroscience behind tarot. I'm very, very excited. So this is going to go along with the stuff I'm learning about astrology and everything like that. This is my card of the year is the Hierophant. So this year is all about learning. It's all about me, you know, really digging deep and getting into the deep depths of kind of tarot and astrology and everything to kind of help me get better and, you know, hopefully help others. So that is my book that I'm going to be using. Now, finally, it is the moment of truth. It's going to be time for a drum roll. It is time for me to show you the unicorn deck that I thought I would never have in my collection. Strange story about this. I was watching a lot of TarotTube and I was seeing this deck on TarotTube and everybody loving it and gushing over it and everything. And I think I had a little bit of a demand avoidance with it because I was like, everybody else likes it, therefore I'm not going to. But it is so my aesthetic, it's so my kind of style. And I was like, no, I'm not going to get it. And I think there was a bit of, you know, Capricorn stubbornness in there and going, right, I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get it because it's almost like a lot of people have a very romantic association with this deck. And I am very practical and I try not to have that romantic association. Although my Tarot of the Abyss, you know, I would buy 20 copies of Tarot of the Abyss to make sure I always have one because I just love that deck so much. But yeah, so I was very resistant. And then when it came to it being discontinued, I found out it was being discontinued, and then the kind of, well, not the FOMO, but then the regret started kicking in, and I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to get this deck. And then I went on to selling sites and they were already selling it for really expensive prices. Like if you look now, a copy of this deck goes for over £100. Like you're talking £120, £140. And I'm not willing to pay that for a deck. I would rather just not have it. Tarot, you can do tarot with one deck and I will do tarot with one deck. I refuse to pay that much. But I saw a listing this was a while ago. I saw a listing where the person didn't have the box. So they had it was their backup copy and they'd bought it for the box because their original box had got ruined or destroyed. So they had their original copy. They took the deck and the guidebook out of the box and it was being sold as the deck and the book. And the book is, a lot of people rave about the book. And I've already read little bits about it. And I thought, oh, it's going for a really good price. And I kind of I wavered in my judgment and I put in an offer. And as I put in that offer and as I was waiting, somebody came and bought it straight out. And I was like, gutted. I thought, I'm never going to have this deck. It's never going to be here. I'm never going to hold it. And then that was over a year ago. And I've always joked with my hubby because my hubby was the one that said, make the offer. What do you have to lose? Well, a tarot deck. with a, you know what I mean? Because I'm not bothered about boxes. I'm not bothered about reselling them. I want the tarot deck to use them and everything like that. So I missed out and I kept, you know, every couple of months, weeks, I would keep checking. And again, the prices were extortionate. So fast forward to after I just bought the Modern Tarot Reader deck on a selling site, I saw a post on the Hermit's Cave Facebook, and somebody had mentioned about a workaround and to get in this deck, and literally I saw the person mention this deck, and within about 3 minutes I was on the site, I'd bought it, and it was coming over. Now, the workaround with this is it's in a different language, but the cards are still the cards. I have downloaded the guidebook, so I've got the app with the guidebook. You might be now working out what it is. I've now got the guidebook on my phone, so I can read the guidebook from my phone when I'm looking at it. Thankfully, the cards I can read intuitively as well and use the symbolism, because that's the way I tend to read cards, is through the pictures. I tend to read very much I'm a theatre trained, I'm theatre trained, I've got a drama degree. I use symbolism and imagery and everything like that in my reading. So and it was a really good price to be able to get the cards in my hand. It was I couldn't pass it up. So, drum roll please. So I managed to get a Spanish copy of this deck that I never thought I would get. And I'm so pleased and I'm so excited to be using it. And it is Tarot of Vampires by Ian Daniels. Literally, when I first looked at this deck, when I was first watching TarotTube, I was like, that's too cheesy 90s. It was, you know what I mean? It was kind of, it was, I don't know. It kind of gave me a bit of the ick at first, and I think that's because everybody else loved it, and I was trying to be one of the cool kids and go, I'm too cool for gothic 90s vibes, even though my teenage years were in the 90s, so this kind of fits. My favorite films when I was a teenager was Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Interview with a Vampire. I loved Blade, Underworld, all of them programs, things like The Craft. I was a horror girly as a teenager. I don't really like horror now. I do like my vampires, but so I've got the Spanish copy of the Tarot of Vampires. I have the guidebook on my phone so I can look at the cards, and again, wonders of technology, we've got Google Translate, so I don't technically have to use my phone, but I probably will use my phone because it's probably a better translation over using the actual guidebook. So I am so excited about this, and it's it comes in this very nice box. We've got the book. Everybody raves about how good the book is. The book is very, very poetic. And look at this. I think I'm going to edge it possibly in red. I don't know whether it's going to be edged in red or black. I'm not sure yet, but it's the only thing I think with this is it hasn't got the numbers on. So I'm going to possibly struggle with, because I know the tarot by the numbers. Like, I know the Fool is 0, the Magician is 1. I know all the numbers of the major arcana. And then you can tell the cups, the swords, the pentacles and things like that. But you can kind of work it out. You can work it out from most of the I love this Hierophant. This Hierophant I just absolutely adore. but it is of its time. This is an old deck. This is, you know, of a different time. And I think it's not inclusive. It's not diverse and inclusive. It isn't. It's kind of and it's of a time that we weren't as, you know, decks weren't as open to being inclusive and things like that. But I think just for a tarot deck, for me, and I think this is going to be very much a me deck, whether I use it for, I think love readings would be good for this, because my Gothic Tarot by Jason Vaughan, I used for a love reading, and it was amazing. It was really good because it's got that Gothic romance vibe. It's, you know, very I love this Hanged Man. Like, that's just, and you can just tell it's very traditional to kind of the RWS. You can kind of work out I'm just looking at what that is. Oh no, that's Judgment. I was thinking that was Justice, and I was like, no, it's Judgment. The World. And then it's quite easy to kind of work out what everything is from the imagery. It's got Rider-Waite-Smith imagery there, and you can kind of tell and read it intuitively as well. Read it with the imagery, read it with what's there, read it with the guidebook. I'm so and it's going to help me learn a little bit of Spanish. Yeah, so there we've got cups, grails. There, this is very traditional. I love that. I'm gonna have to be learning how. I'm very tempted to put the number somewhere, so just so it's easier to kind of read from, or to put kind of a symbol somewhere where I know that, you know, this is the Queen. I mean, it's quite easy to go, it's the Queen of Cups, but if you're, and I've got to make this decision about whether this deck is going to be read for other people. I think it would be read for other people in terms of people I know and I'm close to and stuff like that. But in terms of, I think, a workhorse deck, I don't know whether this will be a workhorse deck. And if it were to be, I would have to put some kind of numbers on just to help me because of the Spanish. And this was, you know, this was less than £30. So I'm not worried about destroying it. I'm not worried about reselling it. I want to make it into a workable deck. So I am so excited that I got this. It is like, just, the cardstock is quite thin, but again, good shuffle. That gives me vibes of the girl from Gossip Girl, the Dan's sister, that was in the band Pretty Reckless. I think she still is in the band and they still play. But that gives me that kind of very early 2000s kind of vibe there. Or at least like 20 years ago, you know, vibes. And it's just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, I am so excited to have this. My inner teenage vampire obsessed, you know, spooky girl is absolutely squealing. When I got it, when I bought it, the first thing I did was message my beloved friend and went, I managed to get the vampire deck, and she was like, I bet you are, I can feel that you grinning from ear to ear. And I was so happy. Yeah. I mean, the guidebook is, if you've never, I mean, a lot of you have probably seen the guidebook to this, but it is an absolute beast of a guidebook. It is huge, and I appreciate a big guidebook because it's the author has really thought about it and really considered and things like that. I hate, you know, them little flimsy guidebooks where there's not a lot. So I am so excited to have this. Another few, I'm so excited, beyond excited to be having this. And yeah, so that's me. Friday, I will be probably doing a tag video. So I will be back to doing some tag videos. I might try and look for some tag videos that have a reading within it, because again, I really loved doing the Coffee and Tarot with Mama T's big massive 10 card spread. I loved that. I loved kind of doing it like wild, you know, doing a reading and having it recorded for myself live, because very often it's either written and I don't look through it, or it's in my head and it gets forgotten. So yeah, let me know if there are any tags that have like a reading in that would be really good for me to do. Let me know. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you've been doing this week. I am mainly spring cleaning this week. So this week in the house of Nikki T, we are going to be spring cleaning. We are going to be making sure that we've got most of the house sorted now that the kids are off for a week. So they are getting their phone time through chores. And making sure that the house is all right, ready for, you know, the upcoming spring. I am so excited. Spring is my favourite season. I love it. So I'm really excited to just spring clean the whole house, get that done, and then, you know, do some magical workings and things like that with it, and do more tarot readings. So if you like my content, please, if you could subscribe, that would be wonderful. And drop me a comment and a like if you like this video. And I will see you again for Friday's video. So have a lovely rest of the week, and I will catch you later. Goodbye, Moonbeams.